the mistake that doomed them. High Chancellor Zyril of the Zevani Dominion leaned back in his throne, mandibles clicking in amusement as he observed the incoming transmission. The creatures on the screen, bipedal, flesh-bound, crude, looked up at him with something unusual. It was not fear. A human, calling himself Admiral Richard Kane, sat at a metal desk, arms crossed. Behind him was the emblem of his Terran defense fleet. The Zevani had encountered thousands of species before, and they all responded the same way to the Dominion's demands, with terror, with submission. Kane's expression, however, was different. There was something in his eyes, calculating, assessing, dangerous. Zyril ignored the unease in his gut. "You are unfit to claim sovereignty," he declared, voice deep and commanding. "The Dominion has ruled for 50,000 years. You will submit to our rule or face annihilation." There was a pause. Then Admiral Kane laughed. It was a cold, deliberate sound, one that did not match the severity of the moment. "You're serious?" he asked, shaking his head. "You just rolled up to Earth, no negotiations, no diplomacy, and you expect us to bow." He leaned forward. "We are not prey. You should leave before it's too late." The Chancellor hissed. "Insolence. Arrogance. This primitive species dared to issue a warning to the most powerful empire in the galaxy?" Admiral Kane held up a hand. "You probably think this is a joke. I get it. You've conquered a lot of species, crushed a lot of civilizations. But here's the thing. You've never fought us before." Zyril's patience snapped. "You will learn your place." He turned to Admiral Karath, his most trusted military officer. "Begin the purge. A show of force will break their spirit." Karath nodded, and within moments, a Dominion battle fleet descended upon one of humanity's outermost colonies, Europa Station. A civilian outpost, lightly defended. An easy target, or so they thought. The Zevani warships unleashed plasma bombardments, expecting swift and total destruction. Instead, their targeting systems glitched. Energy readings spiked wildly. Communication arrays cut out mid-transmission. One by one, Dominion ships went dark, their crews screaming as life support failed. Karath watched in horror as his fleet's own weapon systems turned against them. Turrets locking onto friendly ships, engines shutting down at full burn, artificial gravity flipping into crushing force. "What is happening?" Karath roared. His answer came as kinetic kill vehicles, small, untraceable projectiles, pierced the hulls of Dominion warships, ripping through armor like paper. There were no energy shields to deflect them. No time to react. No warning. From the darkness, stealth drones emerged, hacking into Zevani warships in real time, turning their own technology against them. It was not a battle. It was a massacre. On Earth, Admiral Kane watched the destruction unfold with grim satisfaction. He sent one final message to the Chancellor. "Congratulations. You just declared war on the deadliest species in the galaxy. Good luck." Zyril's blood ran cold. They had made a mistake. A fatal one. "Welcome to hell, alien invaders." Admiral Karath stood motionless, his four clawed hands clenched behind his back. The Zevani Dominion's second fleet, twice the size of the first, loomed over Mars. Hundreds of warships, bristling with plasma cannons and planetary bombardment arrays, formed an unstoppable armada. This time, there would be no mistakes. Karath had underestimated humanity once, assuming their crude weapons and primitive world made them easy prey. The first fleet had been annihilated, not through brute force, but with invisible warfare. Their technology had been turned against them. Their ships had become coffins in the void. Not this time. With a sharp flick of his mandibles, he gave the order. "Commence planetary bombardment." Nothing happened. Karath's throat clicked in confusion. His officers frantically checked their instruments. The command had been sent, but the weapons weren't responding. Then the lights flickered. All across the fleet, power systems fluctuated, engines sputtered, and communications dissolved into static. The Dominion's mighty warships, the terror of the galaxy, were suddenly blind, deaf, and vulnerable. The first human strike came without warning. From the asteroid belt, hunter-killer satellites activated, each one a barely detectable sliver of metal. They unleashed electromagnetic pulses, frying Dominion targeting systems. Then came the stealth bombers, small, agile craft, equipped with advanced cloaking technology that made them appear like mere spatial anomalies. By the time the Dominion realized they were under attack, ships were already vanishing from the battle map. Karath slammed his fist against the control panel. "Find the enemy. Return fire." A new voice crackled into the Dominion's comm system. "Admiral Richard Kane. I see you brought more ships this time," Kane said, his tone almost amused. "That's cute." Then came the second phase of human warfare. At lightning speed, cyber warfare AIs infiltrated Zevani systems. Dominion ships turned their weapons on each other. Fire control systems went haywire, and life support in several vessels flushed entire crews into the void. On the ground, human special forces deployed. They weren't just soldiers. They were ghosts, clad in adaptive exosuits that bent light around them, rendering them nearly invisible. They moved faster than Dominion warriors could track, cutting down entire squads in eerie, coordinated silence. The Dominion didn't just lose the battle, they never even got to fight it. Admiral Karath, once so sure of victory, now stood on the bridge of his crippled flagship, watching in horror as his fleet disintegrated. His mind reeled. This wasn't just technological superiority. This was warfare perfected. His last sight before blackout was a team of human operatives breaching his command deck. The next thing he knew, he was in darkness, a prisoner of the deadliest species in the galaxy. The apex predators of the galaxy. High Chancellor Zyril watched the holographic footage in silence. The second fleet, his second fleet, had been wiped from existence. The battle over Mars had lasted less than 2 hours. Less than 2 hours. The few surviving officers, shaking and wounded, spoke of ghosts in the darkness, ships that died before they could fight, an enemy that turned their own weapons against them. The worst part? The humans had barely taken any losses. This wasn't war. This was extermination. Zyril turned to Overseer Mrock, the Dominion's chief strategist and a historian of galactic warfare. His advisor's usual confidence was gone, replaced by something the Chancellor had never seen before: doubt. Mrock exhaled slowly, mandibles clicking in thought. "Chancellor, I believe we have made a terrible mistake." Zyril scowled. "We underestimated their weapons, yes. But we can adapt. We can strike at their homeworld directly. They cannot win against superior numbers." Mrock hesitated. "It is not their weapons that concern me. It is them." Zyril narrowed his eyes. "Explain." The Overseer gestured to the hologram, which now displayed something truly disturbing. Footage from inside the human prisoner camps. Captured Dominion soldiers were terrified, not of their imprisonment, but of the humans. Zyril frowned. Why are they so afraid? They have survived war before. Mrock's mandibles twitched. Because they have seen what humans truly are. The footage changed. Scientific reports. Psychological analysis. Combat recordings. Every new piece of data painted a chilling picture. Humans do not fight for survival alone. Unlike other species, they seek war, they thrive in it. They are predators. Every other sentient species in the galaxy evolved from prey creatures, instinctively avoiding conflict. Humans evolved by hunting, stalking, and killing. They enjoy the fight. While Zevani warriors fought with discipline and order, humans fought with creativity, cunning, and cruelty. They found joy in combat. They never give up. Other species surrendered when a battle was lost. Humans fought even harder when they were cornered. Then came the worst revelation of all. The hologram switched to footage of human history. Wars. Countless wars. A species that had spent its entire existence perfecting the art of destruction. They had burned their own world, fought themselves in brutal conflicts, created weapons designed to end entire civilizations. Yet somehow they had survived, adapted, grown stronger. Mrock turned to the Chancellor, his voice barely a whisper. They're not just another species. They're the most dangerous life form the galaxy has ever seen. The room fell silent. Then an aide rushed in, trembling. "Chancellor, We have captured human spies attempting to infiltrate the palace. Zeral's blood ran cold. Humanity wasn't just fighting them on the battlefield. They were already inside the Dominion. For the first time in his rule, Zeral felt fear. The fall of an empire. The sky above Zevan Prime, the throne world of the Dominion, burned. Chancellor Zeral stood on the balcony of his palace, his mandibles clenched in disbelief as he watched his fleets crumble. The last of the Dominion's great armadas, a force numbering in the millions, had been assembled for this final stand. It hadn't mattered. Humanity had come, not with mercy, not with diplomacy, only fire. Their weapons were no longer crude projectiles and simple kinetic slugs. They had studied Dominion technology, improved it, weaponized it, and turned it against its creators. Humanity had evolved in months what had taken the Zevani thousands of years. Above, Dominion warships exploded in eerie silence, their own targeting systems hijacked. Human stealth fleets bypassed entire defensive lines, deploying orbital bombardment strikes with pinpoint precision. The palace shook as another impact struck the capital. The humans were already on the ground. Zeral's guards flanked him as they retreated deeper into the fortress. His mind raced. How had it come to this? The Dominion had ruled the stars for 50,000 years. They had crushed countless civilizations. And now they were the ones being exterminated. Sir, an officer sprinted toward him, panting. Blood stained his uniform. The lower levels have fallen. We've lost contact with all outer defenses. A distant explosion rocked the palace. The great doors leading into the throne room burst open, and there they stood. Humans. Not an overwhelming force. Only a handful, clad in advanced exosuits, their rifles humming with restrained power. And yet, they carried the presence of an extinction event. Zeral felt something he had never felt before. A deep, animalistic terror. A single human stepped forward. He did not wear a helmet. Admiral Richard Kane. He stopped a few paces away, expression cold. Unforgiving. Chancellor Zeral, Kane said, his voice steady. This is over. Zeral straightened, mandibles twitching in defiance. You cannot do this. We are the Dominion. We are eternal. Kane's head tilted slightly. You thought we were weak. He took another step closer. You thought we were just another species to conquer. Zeral could say nothing. The truth was already written in the fires outside. Kane's gaze hardened. We could have been allies. You chose war instead, and you lost. Zeral swallowed thickly. What will you do? Kane stared at him for a long moment. Then he spoke the words that sealed the fate of an empire. Whatever we want. The last thing Chancellor Zeral heard before darkness took him was the sound of a human weapon firing. The Dominion had fallen, and the galaxy would never forget what happened when humanity was provoked.